The last podcast, we started a two-part episode series where I was laying out for you 6 vital tools from a leadership standpoint that I've just kind of constantly seen pop into my mind, come into the forefront over the last few months of interacting with heroic small business owners, reading, listening to podcasts, talking with guys in a mastermind, talking with coaches, mentors, leaders, etc. And these themes have continued to pop up over and over and over again. And so make sure you listen to the last episode. Very important to get the first 3 because they tie in to the 3 that I'm about to give you. So let's dive right in. The 4th element of these ideas that continue to pop themselves up in the best leaders in the world. Number 4, repetition. My first ever Pfizer manager used to always tell me, repetition is the mother of all learning. Repetition is the mother of all learning. Repetition is the mother of all, I think you get the point, right? Repetition is the mother of all learning. And so constantly showing up, constantly being there. I'm referencing Alan Mulally, the CEO of Ford Motor Company, 2006 to 2014, because I'm reading a book that is talking about him. The book is called American Icon by Bryce Hoffman. And Bryce Hoffman gives this overview of Alan Mulally, which is extraordinary. It's amazing. And in the overview that he is providing for Mulally's leadership, one of the things that Mulally instituted, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in element number 5 that I'm talking about, is a series of weekly meetings. Now I'm going to add to that daily huddles. We've seen some serious transformation among team locally because of daily huddles. We have moved to daily huddles for our team, for the Business on Purpose team. We meet together 4 times a week. 3 daily huddles less than 10 minutes. 1 full team meeting on Friday morning for an hour. And these daily huddles keep us in sync. Keeps me knowing what everybody's working on. Keeps everybody else knowing what the rest of us are working on. So we're constantly in sync with what we're doing. Now, let me go back to number 4, the repetition. It's one thing to have a team meeting. It's another thing to have a team meeting this week and next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. And those team meetings follow an agenda that is, go back to the last podcast, written down and followed. Written down and followed. When you've got those in place, Mulally says in the book American Icon, or he's quoted saying, when you've got this forced repetition around a specific agenda that's meant to serve people, when you've got that repetition in place, it's really hard for leaders to hide. It's really, really hard for leaders to hide at that point. And so what ends up happening is you've got people who show up and they either self-select out or they self-select in. And it's a powerful element when you see that come to fruition. They self-select out or they self-select in because they either want to be a part or they don't want to be a part. Team meetings, daily huddles around the mindset of repetition, doing them over and over and over again. So number 4 is repetition. Number 5 is team meetings and daily huddles. And number 6, these crucial elements that I see continuing to pop up that can serve business owners well only if implemented. Read and reflect. Read and reflect. John Maxwell, I remember last year, he said, every day I write, every day I read, every day I learn, every day I share. I think there was actually one more. But just even having that mindset of every day I write, every day I read, every day I learn, every day I share, and not even particularly in that order, it's just the best I can remember it. But reading and reflecting in a mindset of learning. If you want to be a growth leader, these are non-negotiables. Writing everything down. Especially writing down your vision, especially writing down and documenting process. Repetition, constantly going back to those wells. And guys, people are going to roll their eyes. God, he talks about the same thing over and over again. Yes, that is a badge that you should wear. Talking about the same thing over and over and over again. As long as it's tied to your vision. Then going into this mindset of weekly meetings and daily huddles, and finally number 6 in our time together is reading and reflecting. time, quiet time to read and reflect and have a spirit of learning, because how in the world can you lead from an empty tank? You can't. And I don't want you to. Well, actually, while I'm thinking about it, that's why the Business on Purpose podcast exists. This whole podcast exists so that you can learn and have a spirit of reflection and thought, so that you can go teach. It's not just for yourself, but to serve other people. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision if you want to write that out, and we'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.